Hear me crunch my Tic Tac. That's good content. Hey, Jimmy, you're not allowed to even be a single minute late, even though you've not been a single minute late for the last 20 shows. But we were talking backstage about very important things because this is going to be a salacious show and there are rules we're going to have to follow. You can call our show. Take it away, Jimmy, Adalind.
Join my band.
You think I could? You think I'd do well?
Yeah. We need another.
I can hit them notes. I got them bars, people. All right, we are out live. We'll see how. There may have been a little bit of a algorithm mistake because we accidentally said the show was starting at 5 until just a moment ago. So we are going to give a little bit of time for people to arrive, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the show. This show is still open to debate. If you are calling in and you want to debate something about, we would like to be on the topic of sex work, whether OnlyFans should be illegal, whether or not it is wrong for society, all of those types of things. But people, if you are watching right now, we need your extra help because this is definitely a topic. We just went for it. In the description, it says sex work is work. We know this is going to get demonetized. We know it's going to be suppressed. So we need your extra help to click like and to go share this in places. Clicking like means it's going to end up in more people's feeds. Sharing it in places means it's going to end up in people's feeds. Hit the share button and go and put it places and help us to be able to gather an audience because as we all know, YouTube is a bunch of prudes. We will do more like introduction of what we're doing and the guest here today after we have gathered some more people. I guess, Adalind, this is Adalind Gray. Adalind is a porn star, a independent adult content creator, an independent music content creator, as well as a legal brothel. What's the official title? Is there a special one?
I guess working girl is
sure.
Technically, but prostitute is also accurate. Like literally, like I have a license through Nye County that says prostitute. So
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. That's the legal term. I feel I often try to add honorifics to my titles to make myself sound like I'm the chief executive of production president of the, whatever. I add as much as possible, but whatever I think we should, while we're gathering people, why don't we figure out a fun official title and what honorifics, what words we want to include in it?
For sure.
Anything come to mind off the top of your head? Do you want the word executive in it?
Sure.
Okay.
Executive, boss ass bitch. I don't know. We're gonna that doesn't need to be the order, but boss ass bitch would be a cool inclusion.
Executive boss ass bitch.
Boss ass bitch could be at the end. Yeah.
Sure. Service division of, I don't know, producer of. There's all kinds of things. I like boss ass bitch, though I may want to be redundant and in some way incorporate ass once again later on in the sort of thing like president of ass, kind of a sort of title, a generalized title for a person. It could be fun. I don't know. I am not the president of ass. I am the president of convex ass. My ass goes inward. There's a back and then it's actually a black hole. My ass.
Every day I learn more and more about your health issues, Jimmy.
No, that's just my genetics. I was just born with zero ass, negative ass.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I'm not. I am like somewhat known for my ass, but it's more the girls up here that are far more appreciated. So
interesting.
And I've said before. One more thing. I've said before, pretty much all of my online fans know, but when our dear president passes away, I will be getting the girls pierced. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is deal
I must say that while I can appreciate the aesthetic appeal that many people like about a pierced girl, I prefer for them not to taste like batteries. And I find that you can't get both. They can either look good and taste like batteries. Well, they can still look good without piercings. But that's my whenever people are like, oh, I just hate it for this reason, this reason, this reason. I'm like, well, for me, I also don't like vegetables very much because texture and flavor, right? And so it's like texture and well, anyway, I do digress. They do taste like spaghetti sauce. I don't know why no one's talking about this.
I've heard it talked about. I've heard it recently talked about on Twitter. Like they don't tell you pierced nipples taste like pennies.
No. Unpierced nipples taste like spaghetti sauce. No one seems to notice after they suck a nipple that their mouth tastes like spaghetti sauce.
Hold on, let me try this off camera.
I don't know if we're allowed to even pretend that that's what's happening. She's kidding. She's over there. It might take more than a moment. I think it's like the same stuff that produces our sweat and how body odor underneath smells a little bit like tomatoes. I think that has something to do with that.
I don't know. Does your partner just eat a lot of tomatoes?
No. This has been an observation I've had since I was a teenager. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I have put many a nipple in my mouth too, and I've never noticed that. So,
and now you'll never unnotice. Now you never unnotice. And if you'd like to see her find out, she's doing a new show on CNN with Tony Shalhoub. I think he's going and eating bread on CNN these days. You know, they do those like, here's a random celebrity who likes bread, so they're an expert, and so they're going to go across the world and eat a bunch of breads. Like, what a job!
So I'm going to go across the world and how vulgar am I allowed to speak about this? Have we already given in?
Now that the audience has started to get here, I think let's real quick cover some do's and don'ts with this call-in show, with the fact that you'll be able to call in and speak to a legal brothel prostitute, an adult creator and everything. You can call in with questions. While we do like debates, we are going to allow a little bit more of the Q&A thing this time. However, first of all, this is not a Q&A for you to whack off to, right? The kinds of questions where it's like, all right, we get it. You're close. She's not going to count down from 10. Those types of questions are not. Yeah,
there's other places where that is.
Right. Yes. Speaking of the don'ts, you can't explicitly ask where those places are. And you certainly won't be getting an explicit answer. However, you know, her social media is public. Adalind Gray official on Instagram, Adalind Gray XO on Twitter. You can go find all of that information. There will be
or you can just Google my name.
There will be zero things on solicitation that could resemble solicitation. And it's weird because we've had some MAGA people call in so far, and they seem to not be present. To Fable in the chat, or into, I guess we'll hit this. If it looks like it's going to be a long topic, we'll probably have you call back on Sunday. But we're wanting to stay on topic to sex work and the like, because last week we were doing a show and most of the calls were on things that we don't ask everybody to the website. I'll send it to you on Discord. We don't ask everybody to be ready to debate every topic, which is a funny thing that not one person in the chat considered. In the comments, there's a lot of comments reaming me on the Tyler call about not letting you speak on abortion, where it's like, cool. So is anybody wondering whether or not, since we do a show, if we had a conversation before about which topic she's prepared to debate on or not? Anybody wondering about that? But then you got a little bit rich too. You got a little reamed for.
Yeah, I did for looking at my phone, and it was just because I wanted to see what chat was saying.
They were like, she can't even bother to stop texting for the show. No. It's like, literally reading what you guys are saying in chat.
Yeah. I was seeing everybody complaining about Tyler, and it was just like amazing to see like everybody hates this man right now. But there were some times where like I wanted to talk, but if I'm being so real, like I didn't have much to add. So it's really not that deep.
Yeah, it is one of those things too where it's like, I understand the optics, but I've not given a shit about the optics for a long time. Like we have people who call in claiming to be, I can't confirm they're black, who support MAGA, and I have no problem arguing with them about whether or not they are white supremacists. And so there are a lot of people who are like, it would be better to hear from a girl who's a woman who is unprepared on the abortion topic than a man who is prepared on it. And it's kind of like, well, that's not correct. But, today we are trying to prioritize calls where we can get people having good conversations with a person here who is a unique person with a unique resume, right? It is, you could be able to talk to somebody who works at a legal brothel and somebody who does sex work and get their opinions on it. I feel like now somebody's in the chat just trolling. Like, I totally did not listen to the last 3 minutes, so I'm just going to make the same point that it was just pointed out how stupid those comments were. I'm going to go very quickly with Fable and see whether or not Fable we should just have call in on probably Sunday. Hey, Fable in Kentucky, you're wanting to take issue with a take I have on socialism. Is that correct?
Well, yes. I mean, you asked me to call last night. I don't know if you remember. I mean, if we're talking about the general topic at hand, I'm obviously very, very pro-porn.
Where did I ask you to call in? Are you just saying like a comment or something on Threads or YouTube or something?
Yes, you asked me. I mean, unless somebody else, it was you asked me to call in last night.
I'm asking you, where did I ask you, Fable?
Oh, it was on some video you did talking to some MAGA guy, and y'all were going back and forth. Quite frankly, I mean,
Fable, was this in a comment section, or were we talking? Are you saying it in the comments?
Oh no, it was in the comment section of the YouTube video.
Okay. Anytime I see people who are arguing that they think I'm wrong, I just tell them to call in. So I'm not trying to cheapen this or anything. For today's topic, do you have something on sex work or something? Because if you're wanting to argue semantics of socialism, it says here you're a liberal. Unless Adalind wants to jump in on that topic, I think I'd rather you call in. Sundays are probably our most socialist day, since it's Javon and I who are both socialists on together. Thursday we'll probably be doing more of a trans themed show, but depending on who I am, that one would work more too. However, unless you have a take on sex work and whether or not that you disagree that sex work should be legal or whatever else, I think we want to move that.
Oh no, I absolutely do not disagree that I think it's sex work. I'm very much pro-sex work. I'm pro-porn, pro-prostitution, pro-sexualized women and men in media. I mean, anything that would upset a Christian or a feminist, I'm for it.
Cool. Do you want to call him back Sunday? Then we want to give Adalind a chance to have as many calls as possible that she's down on.
Okay. Well, I mean, I wish her success in her business, and as a capitalist, I absolutely support sex work, and I hope that she has great success with her business.
Great. We'll definitely talk on Sunday about your precursor as a capitalist. It's going to be wonderful. Thank you, Fable. We'll talk to you then.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right. So we're about to take the first sex work call. However, just a reminder to people who are watching, I can already tell YouTube is suppressing this just based on how our normal beginning of a show would go, no matter what title we put on there. We already have less concurrent viewers. We have the word sex in the title. Obviously, this is going to be tough. So please, a reminder to everybody, we have right now about 380 of you watching with only 107 likes. Please do click like and go share this out. All of those clicks increase our algorithmic interest. Y'all know we are not good at otherwise asking for these kinds of things. So it will add it to more people's feeds if you will go ahead and click that like button. In the meantime, you can call in that phone number 33654-321-01, 33654-321-01. You can call in right now and talk to Adalind with your questions about sex work, legal prostitution, in general, what you might like to call in. We'll start off with, I think this is pronounced Jocelyn, perhaps. Is this Jocelyn? How do I say your name?
It's Jacelyn.
Okay, Jacelyn, I don't have a city or town for you.
Tennessee.
But Jacelyn,
I'm in Tennessee.
In Tennessee. Jacelyn in Tennessee is calling in. You are on the line with Adalind and Jimmy. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm she, her. And Adalind, I was wondering about what you think about, what if sex work turned into, what about the Grindr and Republicans and, the Speaker of the House and stuff? What if sex work was it was legal like that and we would never know what what somebody
Can you
like that was
elaborate
doing,
on
and like,
that?
Yeah, this is a lot of scattershot terms.
What do you mean?
you would
What
never
is
know what
Grindr?
the opposite. I'm sorry.
What does Grindr have to do with what do Grindr and Republicans have to do with sex work right now?
Didn't Mike Johnson, is that his name, the Speaker of the House? Didn't he get like doxxed of like his Grindr profile and?
No.
Why was he being a prostitute?
No, he was using Grindr as like a way of like talking to being homosexual when he's like against it. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Real quick, and I'm going to let Adam answer, but we have to worry now about our ass legally. Nothing the caller has just said is verified as true. There are allegations. There is zero verified evidence that Mike Johnson has ever been on Grindr. This speaking in this way that it is factual is absolutely not true. People have alleged and say that they're going to present proof, but there are no actual verified. And especially people in the day of AI, if you're just seeing a screenshot and going, well, that proves it, you're fucking crazy. So now with that on, I will allow the two of you to proceed.
Yeah, so I just want to say, like, a hookup app is not the same thing as sex work unless we'll just move away from the actual guy because we don't know that. But unless somebody is, like, paying these people on like these hookup apps, then that's not sex work. That's just people hooking up, and that's been something that's happened in queer and gay culture for a very long time. Like anonymous sex is just something, it's like an entirely different thing. But even still, aside from your point or the implication of people lying about it and doing it behind the scenes, I don't really see what the issue is.
I guess my point is the issue of these people that do it behind the scenes and like how they're kind of like I don't know, that they're everywhere and deny it, and I think it really hurts people if they can't like their religion keeps them from doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I agree.
They have a reputation to keep.
Well, I don't know if it's their reputation. I think people should just be able to have queer sex without repercussions. I think that's very much a societal thing that boils down to homophobia, queerphobia in general. Like, I don't know, politicians and anybody else ever, unless you're asexual, needs to get laid. Like, there are other ways to get laid other than like
why
being
do you
a
have
sex
to hide it? That's what I'm saying is like, why does our kind of society and that Christian culture, that evangelical like culture, like keeps you from being able to do that and be successful? If they could just like mix that and let them do both, I'd still have a problem with it, but I think it would like mesh a lot better.
Wait, you'd say you would still have a problem with it, or?
Well, I would have a problem with people not being themselves.
Oh yeah. I think it's all right. Yeah, the dishonesty in general is, really unfortunate. Like, I think you mentioned before, they have a reputation to keep because the people who may be around them in their community might not support them. And I don't think we're disagreeing about anything here, Jaslyn. Like, I think we're on the same page.
No, we're not disagreeing. I'm just kind of like giving a little talking point that like people need to hear that like it's okay for like people like that to like do their thing. Just be honest with us,
Okay, but Jason, can we get to like sex work? Because I feel like you're still on the just be honest about being gay, and you still seem to be. And even in chat, there are other people repeating things that have been debunked. Mike Johnson has not started a rumor by confirming that he and his wife met at conversion camp. They met at a at a family friend's wedding, if I recall right, but I already know I've looked it up.
Oh, I don't know
I really wish
about that.
our side would be a little more skeptical when they just hear a claim and go, oh my God, this would be so wonderful for our side if it was true, if it turns out that he's only hurting homosexuals because he is himself a self-hating homosexual. Wouldn't that just be better than if the oppression was coming from authentic MAGA cis het white guys? No, it wouldn't be better. So we have to, if you want to jump to Jason about questions about sex work, that would be much better, but still going down this like weird thing about shouldn't gay people be more open about being gay is not the topic at all.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I'm sex work. I have no problem with sex work. So if you want to debate somebody on that, like, because I think it should be like, I don't see the problem as long as it's like regulated in some kind of way, like better than other things are.
How do you think it should be regulated?
Just like make sure that like it's safe, like no diseases and stuff. That's like pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's like fair. I mean, my only thing when it comes down to like putting laws on sex work in like how it's able to be used in a like illegal form. And in this case, I should clarify legalizing as in like writing it into law, as in you can only do it within these parameters. It's just whenever that ends up happening, it means that there will always be somebody who does not have the means to do it legally. And that is where we run into issues. So, so...
And not everybody can... I mean, like, but there should be regulations on, like, making it, like, there should be a step forward of making it, like, legal and, like, at some point.
Yeah.
Like, just like other things in society. I don't want to get flagged, but, like, you know.
Oh, you're good.
Other
I'm a proponent of decriminalization, which is basically just means making it not a crime. So every sex worker can make kind of their own rules and make their own like status on getting tested. And, you know, if a client can go to a provider whose business model is good for them. Yeah. So my big thing is just make it not a crime. And generally, when it comes to decriminalization, there are elements of legalization with that. But in general, I just don't think anybody who is doing sex work in any form should have the threat of going to jail or being fined or any government repercussions.
Yeah.
Right. There should be regulations to where it's like where the police shouldn't even be involved. Kind of like as long as there's autonomy, then like it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, but I feel like that would mean like removing regulations.
Even a lot of the regulations that seem like they're common sense ones, when you think about the broader implication of it, you have to figure out how do you account for? So for example, people will say like, if you're a legal prostitute, there should be regulations around making on the safety of the sex to make sure that diseases aren't being spread, which I think most people agree with. But also at the same token, you have to think about like, okay, so what about adding money to it means there should be a law that affects prostitutes, but not a law that affects people who are promiscuous, for example. There are people who have for free sex more often than a prostitute does, with more partners than a prostitute does, with less controls than a prostitute does. And we don't have that many laws there. We have some laws about like you have to disclose if you have a certain condition in some places, that if you know you have something or another. And so would you want new laws for just prostitutes, or would you just say those types of safety laws that are already in place for others? Now, it does seem to me that as a matter of marketing, almost, that you would have a lot of prostitutes who would say something, who would be like, yeah, and we get tested every day or whatever else. And these are the safety precautions we have and everything. But as far as then what maybe two people are doing in the privacy of their own home, you just have a friend who's like, hey, I need X number of dollars and I'm willing to smash if that's of interest to you. Does that person need to be held to those same brothel regulations that you're suggesting? Is it prostitution you want to regulate, or is it brothels? Like, everything that seems like a straightforward answer isn't actually that straightforward.
True. I'm more like ideally, I just think the shift of like society should change to not like stigmatize it so much, and just like kind of let people, because I mean, I know, we all know, like, people that don't like to know even know that, like, just kind of like mind your own business sometimes, and like, and when there's a red flag of something bad happening, then you can help. But until then, like, I think that way about a lot of things, like the government running and everything. It's just like, just like kind of mind your own business a little bit, and like, I don't know how to fight back, that kind of thing. It's just like it's not these mountains they used to be molehills, and the mountains are being built for no reason. Sorry.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I live in Las Vegas, and there was a time where, sex work was like, I mean, it still happens, but like it was totally legal. That was a big part of the city's history. So,
I mean, I work in a warehouse. Like, I have a risk of like getting hurt too. Like you can't.
Oh, yeah.
You can't monitor every hurt, but you can still let it happen so people can make a living.
Sure. Well, Jacelyn, I think we're going to let it go there, because I think we've gotten through the topic in as much as it was about sex work. We've got some other calls coming in, but we'll
thanks for calling.
Thanks, Jacelyn. We've got at least another call screening. We'll see how that one is. I know a lot of people are expressing that they are afraid to call in. I did a little poll in there. Do you have questions you'd like to ask a sex worker? And something like 15% of you said yes, but calling in is scary. Do know, if you want to call in, you don't have to give your legal name. You can say, everybody can say their name is Jimmy if you also want to make the calls confusing, because who will be the Jimmy we're referring to? That sounds awful, so don't do that. But you can give a fake name if you like, and your phone number. We've never doxed a person except to give a number to the FBI when people have threatened us. Even when they've used slurs, we've never doxed anybody. So you are welcome to do so there, and call in with that number. It is 33654-32101 if you want to call in and ask a sex worker a question, a legal prostitute. And obviously, we've already given the lines. You can't be trying to set anything up, nothing that can be mistaken for solicitation. That's how we'll proceed. I guess some of you, if you have questions and calling in is still too scary, still waiting on these calls to screen. But if calling in is still too scary, you can, I guess, put a super chat in, and if the super chat can get through, you probably want to spell sex with the number 3. If you need that, as it'll probably
like sex worker as SWER or whatever.
Yeah. You can do a super chat, and we'll probably take some of those. I'm reading chat right now. Hell yeah. Let me find the right thing here, and we'll just switch this one.
Someone says, feel free to dox me. I need more friends.
Thank you to Dale and Timmy, Timmy says that Jimmy only thinks spaghetti tastes like metal because the acidic tomatoes leach metal flavors from the pan. Once again, I'm not speaking on pierced nipples. I'm saying nipples in general taste like spaghetti sauce. Adalind, you've frozen. What has happened here? Can you hear me, Adalind? Adalind has a very nice smile. She's frozen on. I wish I looked so flattering when I freeze. We'll see here. Let me see what's going on with Adalind and try and get Adalind back in, because I don't think anybody wants me to be answering specifically the questions on. Well, and I think I know the theory of it all, but we don't want to waste the opportunity when we have a great person here to represent the category. You froze. do you need to refresh? Let me just make sure. Chat, y'all can see me, right? Chat? Hello? Is anybody here? Piers Bolognese is funny. All right. I do think everybody sees me. Let's see what's happening. Maybe PC broke? Are you aware you're frozen? We'll try texting too. You are frozen. Do. Yeah, everybody sees me. Anybody got a super chat for me? Somebody give me something fun to read while we figure it out. Adalind has lost internet. No! Shit. Crap. No. There's nothing you can do about it. Just keep screening calls. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. She says, hold on. She might be hotspotting. Let's see. Gotta love that. Gotta love that everything relies on there being an internet connection. Got to love that. Somebody give me a super chat to read in the meantime. I've been having a day, people. Today has been a day. I definitely slept. I woke up out of the wrong phase of sleep. I do really appreciate, if I had to use an alarm, I'm not using one right now. If I had to, there are now, okay, it looks like she's saying she should be back momentarily, and you will need to hit refresh once connected. I don't know where I was going with that. I woke up out of the wrong phase of sleep. Hey, you're back.
My internet went out for like 10 seconds, and I was like, oh no, okay, what did I miss?
That's got to really suck for your line of work too. Like, does that ever happen during the late night streams?
Oh man, there was one time, I have more technical difficulties with like my Levins gear more than anything, but there was a couple times where it crashed, but that doesn't happen very often. Yeah, that scared me for a second. I'm like, oh no! But I'm here. I think we're good. Like, because I have Cox Wi-Fi, and they've been known to like have outages. So I'm like, oh, don't be doing this to me right now. But no, we're good. We're good.
So what you're saying is you do your OnlyFans streams on Cox?
I do. Yeah.
Well, Zacharias, since I did ask if people wanted to put a question in while we wait for you to get back. Zacharias says, Jimmy, what are your thoughts on masculinity? Callers from last time had a lot to say, but what's your positive masculinity? I actually think, I know Alyssa really hates when people talk about like male value. And I'm like, bruh, I think we should talk about it way more. Like what it is to be a high value man. We just have to stop letting them define it because it fucking sucks. Yeah, there are a lot of masculine traits that I think a man who revels in being a man should aspire to, but I think they get misinterpreted a lot. So for example, like being a protector of other people doesn't mean being overly protective and possessive. And so that line between protective and possessive, being the kind of person who's willing to put yourself between like a bigot and their victim, I think is a very admirable, oftentimes considered a masculine trait, though these days, I don't know, it seems like the people with the balls are the girls who get between, like you see at a lot of protests, women not afraid to stand between a cop and an immigrant, and a lot of guys just sitting there just being like,
Yeah, I feel that. I'm like, I love when I hear another man call out his friend or just some random guy on something, some fuck ass shit he says. So I like that. I'm also a sucker for a man who can talk about his feelings, and not in like a way where like like some annoying callers have, like especially on the topic of abortion, but like a man who's like not afraid to cry. That means something to me.
That's
but that's
sweet.
Also
that's probably one of the toxic masculinity things that I can cry a little bit in front of people, but there's definitely still an internal resistance to crying. that I've had for. I've gone through phases though where I cry a lot, and then I go back to my like stoicism. Nobody's ever gonna get you're not gonna get an emotion out of me.
I don't enjoy crying in front of people, but like that's something that like I've cried with my like female non-binary friends, and I've cried with like my male friends, but very like rarely has like a male friend cried with me. And it's like it's not like I'm trying to like cry with all my friends all the time, but like man, sometimes shit happens. Like I was just tweeting about how a guy stood me up the other day and then blamed it on me. Like yeah, that kind of hurt a little. So
wait, what was his excuse? What was it? How was it your fault?
So I'll give you the lore because I wrote a song about him now. I don't want to get too into it, but
give me a bridge version. I don't want you to have to like re-expose yourself to the emotions either. And now we have a ton of calls on me.
Yeah, I'm over it now. It's funny now because I wrote a song about him and he has to live with that. But so he was supposed to come over, but he was watching a game. So he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll come over after game." I'm like, "Cool, see you later." I'm up till 4 a.m. Let me know. And so he's like, "Okay, cool." So he's supposed to come over around 10, 11. I wait till midnight, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" Never heard back. I'm like, "All right." So I wake up the next day, wait until like early afternoon, like 2, 3 p.m. I'm like, "Hey man, like what happened?" Like he still hasn't gotten back to me. So I reached out to his friend, like worried at this point, like because I'm like, "Oh my god, like is it something happened? Like we live in Las Vegas, like we live in America, first of all." Yeah. So like I hit up his friend. I'm like, "Hey, we had plans. Like the last time I didn't hear from a friend this long when we had plans, like they were hurt. Like, is he okay?" And his friend gets back to me and he's like, "Oh, sure, hope he's okay." And then 10 minutes after his friend gets back to me, the guy texts me back and he was like, "Why did you reach out to my friend?"
Bruh, because you fucking ghosted, asshole.
Yeah, you ghosted me. I was worried because you didn't give me the impression that you were that type of person. Then he was like, "Yeah, okay, I get that you're just checking up on me, but like, I've told you that like I'm afraid of like women flipping the script on me and making me out to be the bad guy. So I'm out of here. I don't want to hang again.
Ew,
goodbye."
bro, if he did tell you that already, you should have already heard the red pill, fucking black pill, red flags anyway.
That's
not a man. That's a boy.
So I wrote a song about him, and and then he blocked me.
Next time you leave him to bleed out in the ditch or whatever you were worried happened to him. What if he was at a, what if he took one to the neck?
It's crazy a good song too. You can find it on my Instagram.
Last thing before we take this next call, I'm trying to start a trend. If you're on Threads, Twitter, wherever, and somebody makes some claim about Charlie Kirk, I promise this is the funniest response. Just write, "Who?" That needs to be, we have to start this trend. Just act like you don't know. Who is Charlie Kirk? Why are they naming it? I don't know. Sounds like some dead guy to me. All right, here we go. Carla in Wisconsin. Carla, you are on the line with Jimmy and Adalind. Go for it.
Hi, Jimmy and Adalind. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm such a fan. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a friendly, so this will probably be a pretty straightforward question. I understand the term schmex work as kind of an umbrella term, but I'm wondering if you can speak to the difference between schmex work and prostitution. I thought for some time now I'm a gender and women's studies librarian and researcher, so this is something I try and keep up with. I thought that prostitution was not the term that we were using as much anymore, but I'm wondering if you can speak to the nuances of those terms and what you prefer, Adalind, and sort of what the trends have been recently with the terminology. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'd love to talk about that. So yeah, you're right. Sex work is an umbrella term. It could apply to strippers. It could apply to like peep show stuff or cam girls or OnlyFans girls, porn stars, or, you know, prostitutes or providers. There's a lot of different names for, like, escorts. And really, when it comes to people who do in-person sex work outside of a strip club, or even, like, sugaring, it's sort of like a gender identity in the way where it comes down to the person to decide what label they like. Because a lot of these labels have different connotations, and not everybody likes all of those connotations. Like, some people will just call themselves a provider, or escort is, like, kind of the legal loophole term, because technically escorting is not illegal, because that just implies, you know, paid dates. But usually it's like the cover-up term for doing more than that.
Right.
Prostitute is like the legal term, because, like, in most parts of the country, prostitution is illegal. For me, I like calling myself a prostitute in certain contexts, even though, like, I'll generally label myself a sex worker, because I feel like to call myself one thing will discredit everything else that I do. But when it applies, I like calling myself a prostitute because it's edgy. You know, it's a powerful word because usually it's illegal. And I even enjoy sometimes calling myself a whore because it's a pretty, like, abrasive word. And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know. It's just, it's fun to reclaim that kind of stuff. So I guess, yeah, to more specifically answer your question, when it comes to the specifics, it does depend on the person, but also there's been a trend where sex worker has kind of just become synonymous with prostitute, and I feel like that's kind of a problem because, you know, especially, like, in true crime documentaries or whatever, like, I don't watch a lot of that, but, like, I've talked about this with, you know, my prostitute friends. Like, they don't want to say she's a prostitute, they'll just say she's a sex worker, but she's also always a prostitute. Like, she's not a stripper. Like, if they call her a sex worker, she's probably a prostitute. And I think that's an issue too. Like, I don't think we should shy away from the labels. But yeah, you're right. It is like an umbrella term. Does that answer your question? I feel like I got a little sidetracked.
No, that's great. I appreciate again, it's nuanced, right? I feel like language, when we're talking about all of these different types of issues, can be really nuanced, and so I appreciate your perspective on that. And that's really all I had.
All right, hell yeah, yeah. I'm happy you called in, Carla.
Thanks, Carla.
Yeah, thanks so much. See you soon.
It might be one of those situations too where, like, good meaning ideas backfired, like a lot of political correct stuff can do, where people try to soften the term prostitute or, like, make it sound more laborious as it is. And so it was almost like the PC, oh, sorry, not prostitute, not hooker. Let's go with sex worker, but then sex work itself. Because I can remember early on of OnlyFans, like, people having a broad cultural conversation about, like, OnlyFans is still sex work, and that's not a bad thing. Stop acting like you're better than other kinds of sex workers, because there were people who were like, oh, you know, I'm just an OnlyFans model. It's not like I'm a prostitute. And it's sitting there like, the fact that you think there's a value difference in personhood, that you're superior to a prostitute, is fucked up.
We call that the hierarchy, and it's a rampant problem in sex work. And if I'm being honest, when I was a porn star in, you know, my teens, because I did start sex work at 18, I was like, oh, I would never do that. That's gross. And then, well, here I am. And, you know, I was young, so, you know, I get that excuse. But yeah, no, that's a huge problem. And even as a stripper, I was like, well, I don't think I was ever anti-porn as a stripper. Because I started as a cam girl. That was my order. I was a cam girl, a stripper, briefly a nude model, which turned into porn, and then now I'm at the ranches. But yeah,
this could be purely anecdotal, and I had a lot of friends who were dancers or strippers or whichever one I'm supposed to say now. They're all wrong coming out of my mouth. But when I lived in Wyoming, but an interesting thing that always perplexed me was, other than conservatives and religious people, obviously, amongst people who you would expect more progressive views, strippers always had the people. I shouldn't say it that way, not always, because it's not all strippers, but the people who had the strongest opinions that watching porn is cheating were strippers that I knew. It was an interesting,
that's a view I've never understood.
Yeah. Yep. Look, suppressing access to external sexual gratification has worked out so well for the church. Let's keep doing that, people.
Sure.
That's not, there's not ways to go too far with it. And
right.
But if a relationship's good on open communication about that kind of stuff, watch porn together. It's super fun.
For sure. Like I was gonna say, I feel like the only time porn becomes like an actual problem in a relationship is when like it's affecting the sex life like negatively, like the guy can't or anyone can't get off. Yeah, the lying is really bad. Or like when I would love to talk about the subject of porn addiction because it's not a true addiction. It's more of like I don't know how to describe it. Like a dependency or like a built-up false expectation that has happened. Yeah,
there's a lot to the psychology of what people call a sex addiction, where so much of it is actually rooted in the shame cultures that are claiming the addiction is real. Like the number of people who are quote unquote sex addicted according to Mormons, but it's because of Mormonism that they are that way. It's an ironic it's a snake eating its own tail. But anyway, all right, we'll get into our first looks like debate call. A MAGA caller's got a point to make here. Matthew in Texas. Matthew, you are on the line with Jimmy and Adalind. Matthew, I'm in Austin or near Austin. Are you in my neck of the woods?
I'm not in your neck of the woods. I'm actually closer out to Midland,
No man's land. Just kidding.
It really is no man's land out here.
Is the weather nicer at least? Because it's garbage out here.
Mediocre. You have your good days, your bad days. Not the greatest. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how you ended up on my feed. Because earlier you said you wanted everybody to reach out, put comments in. It worked. Yeah. You somehow ended up on my feed, so that's why I'm calling today.
Yeah, I didn't ask George Soros to put the algorithm like I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point that you want to share here?
Well, I don't believe sex work is necessarily work because it's not a societal plus. It doesn't benefit society. Nothing against you, Madeline. I think you found your own way in life and good for you, but I don't think it's necessarily something we should be propping up.
Okay. Why? Well, what do you... Yeah, sure. Let's start there. Why do you think it's not something we should be?
Well, I've always been in the belief. I think it's great to have a marriage. We should be supporting marriages between couples. And, which way in that? I think if that's how we go, I think that's what we should be focusing on. I think sex work falls away from the family unit.
And why? What's so important about having a family unit?
Well, a decent amount of studies have been done showing that a family unit, just having a full parental household, is better for a child's development and for partners in general when it comes to long-term sustainment of the family. I think it's better for people to have partners.
So
go ahead, sorry.
Ignoring kind of the judgment that's around that. What if I don't want to have a family?
Up to you.
Then what's the issue?
I think everybody has a right to make that choice, but I think as a society, we should be moving forward to have more families. It's better for society.
Okay, so that's what you mean by the society contributing to society thing. I am curious what you feel about this. Do you feel like forms of entertainment like movies or TV shows or other forms of art like music contribute to society at all?
I do, yes.
Okay, cool. So
art is the way to speak through the world.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm a musician, so yeah, I feel really strongly about that too. So.
And I heard you talking about that song you wrote earlier.
Yeah.
You want to give everybody a little preview of that?
I can do that another day, but if you wanna follow my Instagram up here, and then it's on another account. You have to go through some hoops. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to chat about. It's out there though.
All right.
Thank you for appreciating it though. But yeah, so we've agreed that art does contribute to society. What makes you feel like that sex work is different from that?
Sex work? So I think we need to, you were just talking about it with the last caller, and there's the nuances between sex work, prostitute, and the other forms. And
for sure,
I don't know necessarily how to feel like, is porn good for society? Is prostitution good for society? Is OnlyFans good for society? And it becomes a very gray line. And does that become where we need to have more legislation in place to make it to where only once you pass a certain age, you could be able to view that material?
You're right, that sex work. Okay. So, well, there's a lot here that we just laid down. Let's start with your original point that you mentioned that you feel like sex work doesn't contribute to society. You're right. Sex work is pretty much an umbrella term. So let's start with a division that you feel like you can best argue does not contribute to society. Anyone you want.
I will probably say, and this is the one that will probably get the most heat, I think porn is the worst for society.
Why?
It is. I think it does give a term. I would consider myself a Christian, so I say a lustful eye. And I think whenever you have a partner, you should be never looking at another person in any other way unless you're with that partner. So that's a way to put it. But I think it gives too much ease of access, and it is a dangerous content, and anything like you were talking about earlier can become an addiction. It's more of the release of dopamine in the body and how people are able to handle that.
Sure.
So the use of addiction is very light whenever it comes to porn addiction. I think people overuse that. I think it's just people like to use that as a scapegoat.
Okay, so I still don't fully understand your argument here, like, about what you feel like porn is dangerous to society?
I do believe so, yes.
Okay. And why is that?
Mostly because it tears people away from those core family values, and those core family values mean they should be only focusing on that one partner. I know we're going to vary very differently on this because I heard you talking earlier. So I would love to
we're
talk
good.
to you
We're
about
having we're having a chill conversation right now. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I personally am polyamorous, so I know we definitely have different feelings about the core family values there. But I mean, like, nobody's making you watch porn, Matthew. Like, if you don't like it, then you don't have to watch it. So why don't you think other people, or maybe I'm putting words in your mouth here, but you feel like porn should be banned, or?
Well, I live more on the fence. I believe that it needs to be more restricted in a way to where if you want to view it, you have to be this certain of an age. Because any developmental process for a kid is very important. Any influences.
Yeah, sure. I think that's already a law, Matthew.
Here in the state of Texas, but not in all of America.
You do need to be 18 in order to watch porn, Matthew.
Yeah.
So
that is true. There is a law in place, but it doesn't prevent the accessibility to it. And
that is down to the job of the parents or the caregiver of a child to do. I don't feel like that should be. Well, no, it shouldn't be the role of the government, because the internet is not it's not a parent. Pornhub even provides at the bottom of their page resources on how to make sure your kid can't access the site. And there are plenty of safe search features. Yeah. So that's why I don't know how much you know about this, but Pornhub has been blocking access to the states that have been requiring ID verification because it's just such a blatant privacy concern. What happens if there's already been so many data breaches in Facebook and stuff where, they're not supposed to be keeping the data, but clearly they are. So when it comes down to something so sensitive like porn, when, most people enjoy porn, certainly not everybody, but, you don't want that information getting leaked. And that's where that ID verification becomes really, really nefarious.
It also doesn't work. If you don't mind, do you mind if I jump in with something here?
Oh yeah, go for it, Jimmy.
Matthew, ID verification as in Texas has already been shown to be bad for what you're describing, the whole, you need to be able to, okay, so here's the deal. Pornhub is following those laws. You know who isn't following those laws? A lot of other, especially internationally hosted sites, and kids know how to use technology. So if you're going to give your kid a smartphone and not restrict it yourself, they will find the porn whether or not you put them in, because they know how to use VPNs. They know how to make it look like they're in Sweden right now or Finland right now, or they know which sites aren't going to restrict them. And those sites overwhelmingly, like Pornhub, has had problems in the past. Because of those problems, they've actually been refined to a much more preferable, they're not without problem still, system, but where all their content creators are verified. There isn't abuse porn on there the way there was. Whereas right now, if you're a kid and you want to watch porn, you just go with something that's hosted in a different country, and you're going to be exposed to actual incest porn. You're going to be exposed to people who it looks like they're doing porn, but they're drugged or they're being raped or whatever else. Those things are on those websites. And so actually trying to put these well-meaning to keep the kids off has created a security risk for the people participating, and has actually made it so that kids are getting exposed to worse porn.
That's an excellent point.
That is a very good point. And I do appreciate your conversation earlier about talking about data breaches. That rides that fine line that I don't like either.
Right.
And I do think it becomes more on the parent. It does.
Yes.
And
always.
I think a lot of parents are very misnomered about technology and how they actually use it.
For sure, I agree.
I'm much more interested, even if you take it back now, of jumping back to how is sex work not work? Because it seems like you're saying that the definition of work is only that which benefits society, when most of the economy doesn't work that way. Most of what we do, most of the things you buy in a day aren't just functionally to get you through stuff. There's some level, as an American especially, of luxury to it. You're not just eating food that is cheap and efficient and healthy. You're eating food that you think is tasty. You don't just buy a car that gets you from point A to point B. You buy a car that you want to be. So there's an entire luxury end that the average American, even the poor, get some access to. And to say
that's where I was trying to start to go before, and then I accidentally got a little derailed. But yeah, I agree. I would like to get back on the point about how it doesn't benefit society, because that's when I was starting to talk about like other forms of entertainment, like TV shows and art and whatnot. So what do you think divides, say, porn from other forms of entertainment, like we already talked about?
And then makes it not work?
I'm still here. It's a tough question. You know, we're talking about a very. I've been raised as a Christian. Actually, I was raised outside the church, and I became one myself. Is a better way to put it. And does it fall upon more moral values, religious values? And since I don't know where y'all lie upon all of that stuff, are you, like Madeline said, you are polyamorous. Very different worldview than I ever believed. I don't think it's healthy for people in the world to have access to that stuff, at least not easily. I think it should be restricted in a sort of way that prevents it from being accessed easily.
By who?
Okay, but
majority, I would say anybody under 18. I know it's already a law. We did discuss this earlier.
Who should be restricting it?
It should be the state should be restricting it.
We've already explained to you why that doesn't work. Are we gonna illegalize VPNs? Because you don't want other people watching porn, they also don't get access to VPNs, which have other benefits than just being able to watch porn?
And VPNs do. I think this debate goes very well deep into society, but I don't think I'm necessarily going to win on this point, mostly because we have very different worldviews on this. But I would like to talk about something I did hear earlier. So let's say if we did legalize prostitution,
or decriminalize.
How do we make that safe for people like you? Or decriminalize?
For sure. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Is it safer for you to be working on your own, or is it safer for you to be working inside of a business?
So, that pretty much comes down to person. I would argue there is more safety, obviously, for me to be working at an actual establishment. But if it were to be decriminalized, like it would be easier to hire security. I don't know. There's just like a lot of things that I haven't really gotten into because right now I'm just kind of trying to cover my ass legally. And not get scooped up by Las Vegas police. But which brings me right back to it would make it much safer if it were decriminalized because I wouldn't have police on my ass. And excuse me. Oftentimes, since Vegas police hate hookers. Like, I'm just gonna say that. To the point where, like, if you even kind of look like you might be soliciting, hanging out at the casinos at all, like, they might ask for your ID, and then if they see you later, they might just, like, ask you to leave. Like, I know people who have been completely banned from all the casinos. And you know, at the end of the day, when it, you know, with the safety and stuff, like Jimmy already mentioned that there are plenty of people who have tons of sex for free. Like, after a certain point, it doesn't become much more dangerous than like a random hookup. Like,
that is true. And
Matthew, before I have a question
Jimmy
that
talk about that.
I'd prefer, or Matthew, I have a question that I'd love for you to respond to. Then it sounds like all of your objections are just that you have moral objections based in your religious beliefs. I hope and assume that you don't think other people by the state should be forced to live your religion. So if that is the case, what is your best secular argument for why prostitution should stay illegal, that prostitutes who are still working in a country where it's illegal in most states, in most places, they should remain basically in danger, and that danger that they would be in is worth it because prostitution should still be illegal because of what? What is the best secular argument for keeping prostitution illegal?
So you're completely right. Christianity is a choice at the end of the day. I can't force that upon you. I truly don't want to force it upon other people. I think that's a cruel way to put it. I do want to see people do better in the world. I want to see people succeed. I want to see people become the greatest person they can be. If we go back and look at Jesus, he sat with hookers. He sat with people who did taxes.
Matthew, you're preambling here, though. This is a tangent. This is an aside. I'm just trying to be efficient because we have other calls waiting. We only have 54 minutes late. So what would be the best secular argument for, in a country with a secular constitution, prostitution should still be illegal because what?
It should stay illegal. And I say this because it is not safe necessarily for the worker. It's for their own health, and we do have tests now, but there is bad actors out there who would be very happy to harm these kinds of people because they learn access to where they live. And
so then, Matthew,
if anything,
Matthew, I'm just trying to keep it concise so we move it. So if you make prostitution, if legal prostitution could be made to be at least as safe as any other job, that of course at all jobs, women are being sexually exploited at non-prostitution based jobs right now. So if you can get their safety level down to the same rate as any other job, or even whatever the least safe legal job there is, crab fishing or whatever, the ice road truckers, whatever, as long as it's safer than other things that we allow to be legal, you would no longer have an opposition to it being illegal on the basis of whether it should be illegal, but with a secular argument. Obviously, you still want people not to do it because you're Christian, but having an actual legal argument for it, if it's at least as safe as any other job we make legal, you have no opposition, or is there a different reason?
If we can make it, just to use an example here, strip clubs, they have security guards out there, they can hire police out there, and they have bouncers at the place that can at least help protect the girls. This gives a safe way of revenue. This could be a safe way of doing tests. I'd be very happy with that. It keeps people who want to go do it legally, they can go there, and then it keeps the girls safe as well. And I think that's a better way to do it. And I hope it never ends up as bad as crab fishing rates of people dying. That would be horrible.
So
that just
the reason why I'm asking you that. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, that just goes right back to so it sounds like you're in favor of the legal brothels, Matthew. But that just goes right back to my topic of advocating for decriminalization over legalization, because there will always be people who do not have the means to operate in a legal way, and that just comes down to, I do not want women in jail or being punished for doing a job that they either might have to do or just want to do. And for me, that's just what it comes down to, is that it just shouldn't be punished.
Yeah. So Matthew, the point I was going to make was that you just laid out that as long as it was safe, you would have no opposition to it. And yet we already know in countries where it is legal, we're not talking about like third world countries or anything, which most of them, they're not legal, but in developed nations with not only it is legal, but there are often protection laws for them. They can unionize and all of the rest. It is a considerably safer. It's safer than being a butcher. It is already, if you decriminalize it. In fact, right now, most of the danger that you are saying that you're worried about is still less than the current system, because no matter where you are, no matter how illegal you're going to make it, there's going to be prostitutes. It's going to happen. And so right now, the fact that Adalind has to worry about her access, not just to police who are going to be annoyed she's a prostitute, but then if she needs access to them for something else, like she needs access because something bad has happened to her And cops are now going to be like, well, you're the one who decided to be a hooker. So the fact that one of your clients beat you up, we don't give a fuck. That's your thing. We're not going to prioritize this. We're not going to take care of you. We're not going to. Right now, the danger to even legal prostitutes is the fact that it's surrounded by not only a culture that mostly makes it illegal everywhere else, but hates them. And in societies where they legalize it, where it's better, where there are protections, where you basically have just the same, because they don't really need unique protections. You just have the same protections as other workers. People aren't allowed to intentionally harm you, intentionally harass you. Well, what that looks like might be different. The actual protection itself doesn't need any additional wording than anybody does. Right now, arguably, independent contractors working for Uber are getting more shafted than independent contractors working on OnlyFans, right? So if you're saying as long as it's safe, everybody's an adult, they should do it, then it's not a problem. You should be pro-prostitution because it is safe. It is much, much safer when you legalize it.
I can never say I'm pro-prostitution, but I will say I am pro for the fact that if it's a safer way we can do it for these people, we should.
Good. And I would drop the line about it not being work because you don't think it benefits society.
All right. Well, I'll let you go so you can get to your other callers. Thank you so much for listening to me today. It was a pleasure talking to you all.
Sure, Matthew. If you want to call in on a future one and debate your religion, I'd be happy to take that call too, but another day.
I'll be watching you some other time.
All right. Thanks, Matthew.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Somebody in chat said, I like Jimmy as much as anybody, but he's getting smoked in this debate. I'm like, bro, I haven't actually started debating yet. What are you talking about? And by the end, he pretty much conceded. So
yeah.
I'm very, very confused.
Like that call actually got somewhere.
I think there might be people in chat who are like, if I just say it, it'll make it true. What the fuck are you even talking about? Oh, wait. They're just repeating that? Is that what happened? It's not. Yeah, I love at 5:06. I love Jimmy as much as anybody, but he's getting cooked. At 5:08, I love Jimmy as much as anyone, but he's getting cooked in this debate.
So we got a troll in
defended
chat.
By people just writes, it's just the truth. Got it. Okay, it's just a troll in chat. All right. They're not even listening to it. What a weird thing. If me getting smoked in a debate is getting the person to essentially concede that Adalind and I are right, and that their point of view is specifically just religious dogma and not how they would actually apply it to the government, bro, I hope I get smoked more.
I also like how he admitted that like Jesus hung out with whores. Like,
yeah,
Jesus, like literally, like, I mean, I never read the Bible, but I know he did that. So I don't know.
I would even another day if he calls back, I'd fully debate him too on the whole like it harms the family, blah 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 blah. Like it said he was MAGA. He probably voted for Trump. So when Donald Trump was banging porn stars, did that make him less of the family man you voted for? Because Donald Trump is a big proprietor of porn and sex workers.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Some of them of age.
No.
Bruh. All right. Moving right along. Let's see. Jackson in Texas, you're on the line with Jimmy and Adalind. We have several calls. We have 45 minutes, so we'll probably try and keep things a little bit more concise. But Jackson, go ahead and pose your question.
Sure, yeah. Can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It should be a pretty quick call. I just wanted to ask, how do you differentiate whether or not someone like sex work is like wanting to be there, or like the age of them, whether or not like they're trafficked, etc.? I mean, I've been to the red light district, and a lot of people look extremely young there, and I've also heard
red
from
light district
like
where?
the internet, etc. How do you know whether or not, like, if you wanted to engage with them, that they're there on their own fruition versus not?
Well, first of all, I will answer your question, but I'm just curious what red light district you're talking about.
I'm not sure, like, the exact one. I just kind of, it was in Amsterdam. I just kind of, like, stumbled upon it with, like, my friends. I don't think any of us really didn't, like, we didn't participate. We just walked through because it was kind of like a tourism thing.
That's okay.
That we thought of. I don't know if that's, like,
curious.
ethical or not to think of, but...
You're good. I was just curious because yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about how the brothels work in Europe, but like I imagine if they were hiring underage people, like that would be a big deal. And I wouldn't say it's impossible. I mean, it's happened, but at the end of the day, trafficking comes the whether or not something is trafficking or actual sex work comes down to consent. So as long as the individual is, of consenting age, 18 plus, and is choosing to do what they are doing, that is sex work. And if they are not consenting, whether it's somebody being forced to, or they're underage, or whatever, that is trafficking. Like, by definition, sex work is consensual.
Yeah, Jackson, if I might add...
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
There's a few things you can do. One, allow them to unionize. That's going to remove a shit ton of your things, because then it's in the union's best interest to make sure these people are well represented and that they are they're consenting and everything else. But two, this was a conversation that Adalind and I had a while back, because when we were talking about it, I was like, the only contention that we may come up on, but I don't know your position on it, was that I don't support people under the age of 21 being in porn. I think that you should have to be at least 21 and above. And she, as she mentioned earlier, started earlier than that. She started at 18. And one of the response she made, which was a very good response, is like, well, that would take it away from a lot of people who that was their way to not live in poverty. Like, I have too many friends who economically, like, that was their way out. And I don't know how to tell them they shouldn't have access to that. To which she is very right. And to which I responded, yes, for the record, I'm not just saying cut it off at 21 and now that solves the problem. It's a multi-tiered problem. And so the other things you need to do is, within society, remove these big systems that prime things like prostitution and other things for exploitation. So we need to decriminalize drugs, give people access to actual rehabilitation instead of making them go to prison and everything. We definitely need to decriminalize prostitution so that you also have an influx of more people eagerly wanting to participate in it, so that you don't need to staff it with illegal people in the first place. Because if it's already an underground illegal, it being underground and illegal is often a deterrent from people who would have otherwise been willing to do it. So now you have this vacuum you're trying to fill by exploitive people. You have worker protections to avoid exploitation, but you know the number one way you protect everyone? You pass guaranteed access to medical care, housing, and food. You make sure that everybody's basis is economic safety, and then you don't have to worry at all about, not at all, but then you have to worry much less about exploitation, because the incentive to be there for other reasons other than you want to be there go way, way down. So kill capitalism and everybody's good.
Yeah, pretty much.
I pretty much agree with you on all those points. I really do. I agree with you, especially the medical care industry. I think I know in Amsterdam, there's like medical care given to the individuals who want to participate in prostitution. The thing is, though, is that, so they agree to it, but how do you authenticate whether or not they're there for themselves, or whether or not people have forced them there, or if they're underage, because you don't know. And the point, I guess the question is how, say me, I want to go and do that. I don't want to do it with someone who's not there either because they want to or because they're underage. Is there ways to authenticate that, or you just kind of have to assume?
Adalind, this is more of a policy question. If you want to take it, you can. Otherwise, I can respond. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how it works in Amsterdam specifically, but in order to get hired in one of the Vegas, or not Vegas, because it's not in Vegas, but one of the Nevada locations, um, uh, like, it's a huge, like, thing. Like, there is an enormous amount of paperwork. Like, I have, I mentioned in an earlier call, or maybe it was in our intro, that, like, I literally have to go to the police station.
Jackson, can you kill the noises in the background? I think you're filling a cup, but it sounded like you just burped into the phone.
No, I just took a drink out of some water.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, in order for me to legally work at the Nevada ranch, I had to go to the police station, get my fingerprints done, and then they gave me a fancy little card that says my name, my number, and in big ol' bold letters, prostitute in Nye County. So I don't know how it works in Amsterdam, but I imagine like there's gotta be some serious legal paperwork involved.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how it works for independent people.
Jackson, you're never going to remove
really
certainty, or you're never going to achieve 100% certainty, because you can't achieve 100% certainty anywhere. Right now, most of us have probably accidentally consumed unethical porn at some point just by accident, whether it's scrolling a Reddit feed and just hoping that the regulations are that these people are proving their age or whatever, and then their boobs pop up in front of you, or whatever else. A great many ways these things can come to you, but you can raise confidence in it by, one, giving them a good not anonymous, protected way to report abuse, as well as do the types of screenings that we do in all kinds of other things, like the different ways in which a person, when they are filling out a will, that they verify that they're of sound mind, and there's plenty of things to go with. But at some level, the decriminalization, you're talking about much more like brothel regulation, which isn't even prostitution regulation at the same level. Right now, if I had a friend who was literally just like, you know what would be dope? A Nintendo Switch. I'd like a Nintendo Switch. Can I bang you for a Nintendo Switch? And I was down to do that. That's illegal. Like,
it is.
It's a fundamentally illegal thing. And so whether or not, like, something even that where it's clearly arbitrary, nobody's being abused or forced to do anything, like, well, she can't live without that Nintendo Switch, or he, and I'd be happy for it to be a he, you fucking weirdos. Just kidding. That was the funny aside. Never forget Jimmy's bisexual. He will not let you. Anyway, at the simplest, lowest level, it's prostitution is illegal, except for things that you can easily still, like, it's only if it's only if you actually, like, can point to a negotiation. If I got on Grindr tonight with the expectation that whoever offers me the fanciest meal is getting a sloppy toppy, that, as long as I keep all of that to myself, not illegal. But if you do it explicitly, a quid pro quo, now it's illegal. So at the very core basis of keeping it illegal, it's stupid and makes no sense. But when you're getting into brothels, and by the way, in most the countries where it's legal, they don't have the pimp problem, which is a problem in prostitution, that there are often that pimping itself, as somebody in the chat just pointed out, in Amsterdam, and pimping is illegal, and that keeps a lot of the problems that you're describing at bay. There is a way to handle all of this, but we should be starting at the basis of consenting adults should be allowed to do this. And then whatever we have to do to protect people from abuse, that's where we start adding laws. And we don't go blanket across the board, because you might not know that this thing is happening. Nobody has access to it. That's not what a free society looks like.
Okay, so just to wrap things up, it's basically decriminalization and like some sort of more policy like introduction essentially would curb these effects. Is that what I've gathered correctly?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Would have been iconic if you said, I want a Nintendo Switch, but never mind. It's all good. People are,
you guys answered my questions. Like, yeah,
thanks,
great.
Jackson.
Thank you. I mean, also like quid pro quo. I would call back another time. I want to talk to you guys about the a whole thing with the Trump administration asking for things for the 9 universities, but I can call back talk about that another time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jackson.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, I'm excited to hear your response to this next call. I'm excited for all of them, but this one's actually an interesting question to me. Sigma in Washington. Sigma, you are on the line with Jimmy and Adalind. Sigma, go ahead, as we have a regular conversation because you're not calling to debate, but you do have an interesting question. The chat will be telling us how we're getting smoked in this debate right now. Go ahead.
Well, first I want to say, Adalind, are you mentally ill?
Oh yeah, we've already had this conversation on Chewed Gum.
I think it was a reference, yeah. Good old Andrew.
So question was, should customers of, I guess specifically I would say prostitutes, be allowed to sue for damages related to any problems that they have afterward?
Like what?
Like, I guess if there are any STI concerns or, I mean, if for males, I would say probably there would be a concern for like, I know not, like if somebody's not fertile, then that's not a problem, but if they like have a kid or something, those kinds of things would or should they be allowed to sue for damages, or are they, like, even in Bunny Ranch? Like, is that a consumer protection?
Yeah, I mean, STIs are kind of like, well, okay, first of all, I want to let you know, like, the steps we put in place to prevent these sorts of things. Like, protection is mandatory, even for oral.
Right.
You know, personally, I'm sterilized, but, you know, not everyone is. I mean, birth control is pretty common. Right. Like, I mean, we as workers are pretty much like in charge of our own health. And if I'm being honest, like, I mean, I've never caught anything from the ranch, but if I did, like, sometimes that's just like how the cookie crumbles. Like, that goes for regular hookups too. Like, you know, that's why testing is important. It's why
I think you're doing the opposite. I think you're swapping it. I think Sigma's asking you whether or not, if, let's say, Sigma, by the way, can you take off speakerphone or whatever's causing your audio to feedback? I hate it. If we can go back to the regular phone or something. I think Sigma's asking, like,
is this audio better?
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's say there's a client, their name is Alpha, and Alpha has sex with you at the brothel, and they can demonstrate that they contracted an STI from you. Actually, I don't even know if the demonstration, but that they got it from you. Should they have rights to be able to sue you for damages?
Oh, first of all, I feel like it would be difficult to prove that, unless they were already tested, and then you know, I was also tested beforehand, obviously, and then I got tested later and was like, okay, yeah. But so it would be difficult to demonstrate that unless there were very real circumstances. But also, like, again, like, you can just like catch chlamydia from a hookup. Like, shit just like happens sometimes. And like, I think the stigma around STIs is like ridiculous. So I don't know. No, I don't feel like it should be, I don't feel like anybody should sue anybody for like catching an STI unless someone was like deliberately lying about it. And there already are protections for stuff like HIV specifically. Like, you have to disclose that in certain places. And also, if you have HIV, you can't work at the brothels to begin with. But yeah, no, I think it would be weird if anybody tried to sue anybody for like a genuine accident. Because, like, with the exception of some really freaky people, nobody wants an STI.
Right. Sigma, it's going to come down to kind of what she just said about the genuine accidents, probably pretty much what it comes down to. Like any other job, anything done with malicious intent, anything where in a certain situation you should have been able to expect a higher level of whatever regulation versus not. Certainly you wouldn't be able to go down to the level of, again, me and a friend with a Nintendo Switch. Any court would laugh that out of like, okay, well, that's you just negotiating still a consensual sexual interaction. So whatever protections would have existed for you, whether the money was there or not, are there. But you don't get to like.
I just forgot until now. There is a sign. There was a sign at the old ranch I used to work at, and I'm almost certain there's a sign at the current ranch I work at where it says protection is mandatory, but we cannot guarantee. Yeah. So sometimes shit just happens, but it's so rare. And, that's just like, again, like, it's not even like a sex work specific issue. That's just,
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But also, like, that at some point when it becomes an occupation, so like my background is in medicine. So if something happens that I cause, I'm liable for it. And most of us even carry like malpractice insurance just because, like, if a court says like, well, yeah, you maybe should have figured something out or should have done something differently, you are now liable for these damages, and
yeah, but I'm not a medical professional
in this legal system.
Yeah. That's quite a different level.
Yeah, I am not a medical professional. Right. And also, for the record, I feel like, we talked about, or Jimmy talked about, how there should be more like ways to like help. You phrase it way better than me. What I'm getting at is, because I want to talk about how I'm on PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, I believe, which basically is 99% or more percent effective against preventing HIV. And that's not something the ranch gives me. That's something that I have to go for. But I do wish that, like, I think that should be more easily accessible, especially for sex workers, for anybody who wants it. And I'm thankful that Nevada does have some really great resources for that, because Vegas does have like an especially high rate of HIV. But I think that there should be more.
I'm not, my girlfriend and I don't perform recreational surgery. So there is a little bit of a difference between the medical field and what you are doing. And all the difference is you are adding a level of an exchange, a quid pro quo, right? Like a person, if you take all of this away, all of the money away, if a person is just that same level of quote unquote promiscuous, whatever the regulations are or the protections are there, some of those already exist. There might be ones we've overlooked and needed to add, but you don't have a new level just because there are dollars involved. And so, yes, obviously brothels will have their own things. And in a lot of ways, that's going to remove a lot of people's ability to sue. If it's like, here is our process by which we follow to keep you as maximally safe. Anything beyond that it's not a reasonable expectation that like, if you still contracted otherwise, it's going to be because something unforeseen and not a reasonable expectation of harm happened. And it's unfortunate and it's sad and whatever else. But that's again, not, if anything, I believe there's already research on having sex with a prostitute at a legal brothel is still many times more safe than having a hookup with somebody you meet at a bar, like by a lot. Yeah. And so, like, again, at what point, just because there is an organization involved, are they okay, so now we have to get into even crazier stuff. That same Grindr thing I said before. Do I have a legal course through Grindr if utilizing the Grindr service to have this consensual interaction where I got a good meal or a Nintendo Switch? Is Grindr in some way liable for me getting an STD? It's when does it become somebody else's responsibility? And again, it's hard to say with something that people do recreationally. If you add a little bit of money to it, like, I don't think there are that many legal places that you can legally sue if you believe you got food poisoning from a restaurant. I don't think you can sue the restaurant for that. right? Because you could get food poisoning, but if you can demonstrate that the conditions at a place are so unreasonable and that was being hidden from you and they were being negligent in a way that was dangerous, you can definitely sue them for that danger. You could potentially with the class action, but simply, I got food poisoning within the last 24 hours I ate at this place. I believe it came from there. I might even probably be right it came from there. Your protections are very, very limited there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess I was thinking more about it as like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I was just gonna add to that real quick, saying like I love sushi, but like at the bottom of every sushi menu, there's big bold letters saying consuming raw or undercooked fish may make you sick, and it never has. But like it's true that the risk is there. But
and literally
has
killed people because it tastes so gross. Yeah. Because sushi is so gross, it murdered people just by the concept and by the food poisoning.
I guess I was thinking a bit more like other products, like if you buy like an Instant Pot and it blows up and hurts you and you get, burned, then you could sue them because like they're liable for their product. But I think like what you were saying, Jimmy, of like thinking about it more as a like similar to like buying food from a restaurant where it's like, yeah, it is a product, but it's a different level of liability. And also like you were saying, Adalind, like there's already warnings, there's already like all of the things that you can reasonably, that you have to assume some level of personal risk. And if they are following those protocols, then it would be a ridiculous thing to sue. I just thought it was an interesting question and wondered like what you thought would be the right course in our current legal system if we were to legalize it everywhere.
For sure.
Oh, and I had one more question.
I think we're going to leave it there. Oh, go ahead. We'll do it quickly because we've only got 23 minutes and at least a couple more spicy calls. Why couldn't you have called
sex workers bi like Jimmy?
What's that?
Are most sex workers bi like Jimmy is?
I don't know. I'm not a sex worker.
Yeah, I don't. I would say a lot. I mean, I would say most women are bisexual. If I had to say, I don't know what the actual data is, but like, it feels like there definitely are straight girls at the ranch. Like I've chatted with them, and they're like, yeah, no, I wish I liked women, but like I'm gay for pay, and like that's fine. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a real answer for you.
Everyone's bisexual or in the closet.
For real.
I agree with that, Jimmy. I think that gender is way too much of a spectrum for any of us to be actually straight or gay, but that's okay.
Thanks, Sigma.
All right. Bye.
See ya. Someone in Super Chat wrote, I'm not into men at all, but if there's a Switch 2 up for grabs, how's next Thursday for you, Jimmy? Listen, that was an example, and I love a lot of people, but I can't think of anybody who I would go just smashing with no romantic connection, now whatever. Like if somebody I will get a Nintendo Switch 2 for somebody I love for so many more reasons than banking. I don't know how to say this, but for me in my life, I do not value a one-time encounter with someone for sex at the same level as a Nintendo Switch 2. We just don't. That's $500, people. Come on. That's not my valuation. When I think of percentage of total income, might be yours. It might be yours. Does anyone do any of the brothels in Vegas accept Nintendo Switch 2 as a form of currency? That's the question.
So no, actually, a lot of the I don't know about my current one, but the one I was at before, actually, if that were to happen, they would treat it as if it were currency, but as a result, still take. Like, I would have to pay out of pocket the percentage that they would take as if that were cash. So it would be up to me if I actually wanted that gift or not. But yeah, in general, they do try to prevent people from paying with items because it's just, it just makes things confusing. But yeah, if it were up to me, I might do it. But that's, unrelated at this point.
Nintendo Switch, I mean, come on.
Let
me read to you the Switch 2. Do you have it?
No, I don't want the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is stupid, but I have a Switch 1.
We will talk about this after the show. I acknowledge that there aren't games enough to, but in what way is it stupid? It's so good.
It's in my opinion, it's just too much for what it is, and it's just maybe it's
too much for sure, and the tariffs made that even worse. Yeah, I get that.
To me, it's just Nintendo being greedy, but that's not new.
I see. I don't know if that's the case or not any more so than before, if it's worse than the Nintendo Switch was, but the more and more expensive components. As far as what I wanted out of a Switch 2, anyone who has a tech issue with it, all I wanted was an upgraded Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch, it wasn't broke. Don't fix it. Just enhance it. Right? And that's fair. That I do like out of it. Yeah.
I just feel no need for one.
We probably only have time for one more call, maybe two if they're non-debate. Let me give you the menu here of what we have. We have a person who's calling and saying there is a safety and legal risk. It says it's a debate call. Safety and legal risk, emotional and mental health. There's another call, wants to know whether or not you all felt sex work is more of a result of capitalism, and if without the capitalist structure, would sex work still be a thing? There is another debate caller from Kentucky who wants to say that sex work is not work. Or is there anything that can be done about when women just turn 18 and start an OnlyFans when they don't need the financial assistance? I don't.
I'm interested in the person who thinks sex work is not work.
All right, let's do. And the other callers, we might be able to get you to today, depending on how this goes. So don't necessarily hang up. But with only 19 minutes, don't be sad if we can't. Devin in Kentucky says sex work is not work. Devin, you are on the line with Jimmy and Adalind.
What's up, guys? Thanks for taking the call.
Hell yeah. So I think you should start with what's your definition of work?
Okay, so I was hoping I'd be able to ask you questions at first, but we can go this route too. And correct me if I'm wrong, but work and job, these are phrases that people use to describe things that people do for gainful employment, correct?
Yeah.
I think it maybe labor in exchange to live, to contribute. I don't know. It has to be for gainful employment, because I feel like that opens up a semantic argument.
Okay. Okay. So when you say work, you don't mean gainful employment. You don't mean doing something for money.
No, I do mean doing something for money, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but work or jobs, things that you do for money, things that are going to be getting regulated by the government, there at least seems to be a direct benefit to society, or at least a net benefit to society with that job existing.
Disagree.
Would you guys let me say that?
You can say it. I disagree.
Okay, so you would disagree that
that's inherent to all jobs?
I mean, that seems to be the way things work most of the time. If a job has too much of a negative effect on the general public or whatever, it's going to have a hard time being legalized. At least that's the argument people will use to keep something illegal.
I think you're speaking in sort of broad generalizations that no, I wouldn't agree with the nuance. I think most jobs, first of all, I don't think you can actually find that prostitution is a net negative to society. But I think most jobs, if you're saying society just to mean your very most local community, that would be fine, I guess, enough. But when you're talking about something like prostitution, you'd have to have, hang on, prostitution, you have to have whatever net negative you are claiming, and you're going to need to lay that out, would have to then be larger than the benefits we see. One, its contribution to taxes, so it being a very like an actual civil benefit, and then everything else that comes with it, that there are people who get a very positive experience out of prostitution, and especially in legal situations, that it can be very mentally and emotionally uplifting for a person if they don't have, for example, a religious background that commits them to terrible shame and the like.
Yeah, I was going to say I can think of lots of ways that sex work in general, not prostitution specifically, but still including prostitution, benefits a lot to society.
We're probably going to go tit for tat in that regard, though, because you're going to name something that okay, well, I don't think you're going to argue that participating in sex work has it doesn't have a 0% chance of leading to things like depression and feelings of isolation, different mental disorders. Like people that have participated in sex work for
have you heard of
long
working in
periods of time
retail?
Yeah, literally, can you describe something that doesn't just describe every job? Because we haven't made all jobs illegal for that same reason.
Well, we're not talking about working at Walmart, though. We're talking about
No, we are. In a way, we are. You're saying, you're defending the negative of it, and you're basically just saying like, oh, but there are these negative things that could be. It's not a 0% chance. Since when do we make it illegal if there's a 0% chance that a prostitute or a client will be depressed when we don't do that for literally working in minimum wage at any job? No matter the job, I will go put forth that you are probably a more psychological mental health risk working minimum wage for any job than working as a prostitute.
You just stated what's probably the actual issue. You kind of hinted at this earlier with another caller, that a lot of what leads to what people consider crime is poverty and lack of education, lack of opportunity. So if you're going to fix issues like street crime, one of the best ways to fix it is at a systemic level and making sure that people have arguably better, however you want to phrase it, options other than committing the street crimes. I just feel like with sex work, you're taking people's reaction to poverty and you're just making it legal as opposed to trying to fix the poverty. Because you said before, somebody working a minimum wage job can suffer depression and PTSD related to working said job. That is true. But I think even that is connected to how much they're getting brutally underpaid.
Do both. Have you heard of the military?
Right. You're just going longer. You're just sort of adding more words that don't change. You haven't shown why it's negative, and our positions don't change. Okay, great. Also, take care of people. Make sure that people don't turn to jobs they may or may not want to do because they have those options. Do both. But there are countries where they have better social programs, better welfare programs, better safety net programs, and there are still prostitutes and people who like being prostitutes, right? So, like,
and you definitely haven't supported how you think it's not.
I haven't even gotten to that part yet.
I know, and you also haven't gotten closer to answering, as Adalind just pointed out, why sex work isn't work.
I actually did. I named a negative, and then you just said, well, other jobs have that negative too. I didn't claim that prostitution is the only thing that has these negatives. You told me
that. But the negative is also supposed to be, right. The negative is supposed to be related to it's illegal, and you were saying it's not gainful employment or it's not a job. This is your total thesis is sex work isn't work. And we were talking about why it should be illegal, therefore not considered gainful employment. And you went with negative that we don't make other things illegal based on.
Well, I only got to list one thing.
Okay. So are you going to now go with why it isn't work or why it is a negative and should be illegal?
Well, that kind of ties in. So the fact that there's a bunch of negative aspects about it is the reason why it should actually be illegal. Like, for instance, in America, there's
negative
already
aspect
places
that is exclusive to sex work and would not apply to other.
It doesn't have to be exclusive.
Yes, it does. Unless you were saying you would legalize the other jobs too.
No, because those other jobs are different things. Stocking a shelf is not having sex with somebody for money. Those are not the same
some people,
things.
and yet I'm going to blow your mind, Devin. For some people, having sex for money would be more enjoyable or more acceptable a job than having sex for money. So I don't think the person who doesn't want to stock a shelf should be forced to, but in our society, they very much are, nor do I believe a person who doesn't want to have sex for money should be forced to. This is a completely different point for should it be illegal for two consenting adults to have sex if money is present?
Okay, so you said something about fun, like how fun it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
You said it. Okay, so is that the line of if you can get paid to do something, as long as it's fun for both people, it should be legal?
Devin, what point did I just make to you? And please respond to it, and then I'll answer yours. Because if you would actually listen to what I just said.
Oh my God.
No, oh my God, indeed, Devin, you didn't listen. The response I just made, if you watched it in reverse, you'd still be weirded out. It's like I made a point, and then you made something that goes out of its way to prove you didn't listen to the point. Can you repeat to me the point I made and the question I followed up with?
Your point is that two consenting adults, if they want to do something where there's an exchange of money, they should be allowed, because that's actually better in some cases than somebody being in a situation where they are basically forced to do something they don't want to do for money, like stock shelves or something.
Thank you for proving you didn't listen. You took several pieces of different words that I said over the course of the point and tried to make it into a new one. It's not far from, but it wasn't the point I made or the question I asked you.
Okay, I did answer a question. The question was name something negative. I named something negative, and instead of you saying yes,
actually the question
negative
name
of the
something
job,
negative.
you pointed to another job.
Adalind heard it. Adalind heard it and just repeated it for you. I didn't just say name something negative. I said name something negative exclusive to sex work that wouldn't apply to other jobs.
Yeah, and then I said it doesn't have to be exclusive. There can be many negative things about this activity.
And then I said it does. And then I said it does, because if you wouldn't legalize other jobs on that basis, there is no consistent way to legalize prostitution. Great, then come with the basis that is exclusionary. Devin, then lead with that. You're saying, Devin, chill. I'm going to teach you how to debate. Devin, I'm going to teach you how to debate. Devin, if you'll wait for a second, I'll teach you how to debate. Rather than keep making points that aren't exclusively relevant and don't make your point because it's easy to point to, well, here's a category of that thing by which your standard does not apply, so why would you move it to that? Rather than do that, rather than focus on these things that don't matter, offer your strongest basis that is exclusionary, and you'll win if it is both sound and valid. If you want, you could present it in the form of a syllogism. Would that be the way you would prefer? Then we can get straight to it.
Yeah. See, that's the trick. You're wanting me to answer a question that isn't actually a framing that I need to use. Something doesn't have to be exclusively bad for its own reason to be something that should be illegal. It can share negative qualities with other things. It can even share qualities with other things that are legal.
So, Devin, now let me go ahead and restate it in a way. Hang on. No, Devin, you just made your point. I'm going to mute you so you can't help yourself, and we only have 7 minutes left. I never said that, and you just repeated my point back to me wrong. You are quite correct. Thing A can be illegal and thing B legal. And there can be, just because it shares qualities doesn't mean it should also be illegal. But you do have to have an exclusionary quality to justify that it's illegal. So you can say, look, A and B both have 1, 2, and 3 in common, but A should be illegal and B should be legal. But you can't do it on the basis of 1, 2, and 3. You need to tell us what number 4 is that the other one doesn't have to make it illegal. If they are otherwise the same, it is not consistent. So now we'll unmute you. You've been a little bit educated here. Again, if you prefer to stick to very straightforward, we can perform just pure syllogisms. We can go to syllogisms only if you like, but it's been explained to you now. So please give the exclusionary quality that differs between prostitution and other form of work that is the reason why it should be illegal, even as other things it has in common with are legal.
Because morally it has a negative effect on society.
Because what?
Wow.
Because morally it has a negative effect on society, yes.
By whose standard?
By the standards of how things turn out whenever you have
by whose standards? How do we declare that it is a moral negative? Who decides that it's morally negative?
I'm not a religious person, so for me, it's...
Clearly you are.
It goes... No, I am a super atheist. I don't believe in God at all. I think our religions are stupid and they actually lead to most of what's wrong with the world.
Devin, I didn't say you're not an atheist. Super atheist is weird. You either do or don't believe God exists. There's no super version of it. But clearly you have fallen. I mean, but clearly you have fallen for a morality presented by Christians and have yet to present a secular argument for why it would be immoral. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, moral, Devin, you are clearly falling for Christian patriarchy.
Moral as in a negative effect on society. It's immoral because the overall effect does not move society forward in a positive way.
You sure about that?
That's how I view things.
I feel like I've moved a lot of people's lives forward in a positive aspect.
Right. So Devin, you have an actual prostitute here who can tell you, well, I've been a part of the experience where
that doesn't change
the sex they are having is therapeutic.
Okay.
You've had a what experience?
I've been a part of it too. I've done sex work too before. Yes, I've done it before. So that
great.
There's going to be people that have done it that are going to have a happy-go-lucky view of it, but that doesn't mean that most of them do.
Oh, got it. So what you're saying is your anecdote won't be better than her anecdote. So what you have here is data that shows that countries which legalize prostitution and have a non-patriarchal view of it still are in decline correlated to the legalization of their prostitution. Because if clearly that would have to be the case you have to make here. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes,
great. Which country would you like to point to? Which data would you like countries? No, give me the data.
Well, this is where you guys. Well, no, this is where you guys can educate me. So I'm going to ask you a question. These countries that are legalizing
you made a claim. You will now support the claim and not try and do the I can just say it and then see if they can't answer my questions, presuming their counter to my satisfaction. Therefore, my claims that are purely emotional and patriarchal have not been debunked to my satisfaction. So I don't care about what questions you have for me. I care about the support of your claim, because you just said, when I said you'll be able to present data that countries that legalize it and do not have a patriarchal approach to it are still declining, in that it is directly correlated to the fact that their prostitution is legal. The next word out of your mouth was yes. So please present that data.
I was saying yes to the fact that I agree that countries that have legalized it are still having problems that are predicated to people committing that act.
Great,
that's what I was agreeing to. That's what.
Great, prove it.
What country?
You have the data. You were saying that her anecdote doesn't work because you have a counter anecdote, so you're going to go with data. Give us the data.
Well, yeah, but that's what I was trying to say. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, well, from what I've seen, because that's just my life experience.
Great. We have 90 seconds left before we have to end this call because the hour will be up. So are you ready to present the data, or is it still going to be more assertions based on you thinking things ought to be this way? Because I think this is true about morality, even though you have no demonstration. Do you have any kind of data you are going to be able to present? Let's just name the country. Name a country you know that is in decline because of the legalization of prostitution before we even get to the data.
Well, my claim was that if they have legalized it, they're going to be in decline because they have.
Great. Okay, great. Which country can you point to as that being the case? Because many of them have legalized it. Name one.
Okay, so I guess I would point to any country that's legalized it then.
Great, name one.
Like what?
Name one.
Any country that, do I have to
name one? No, not any country. Name one.
What I'm saying to be not true?
Name one. You haven't researched this because you don't know of a single country.
I haven't.
Correct. No. You have to name one to prove that what you're saying is true on the basis that you have adequately researched it.
Okay.
America has not legalized prostitution. What are you talking about?
America has legal sex work in this country.
Now we're changing to sex work, not prostitution. And America has not decriminalized it. And in fact, in almost all 50 states, it is illegal. There are a few places. That's not America. Those are specific counties. And even within there is limited licensing. And as Jesus Christ, Evan, you're bad at this. As Adalind has already pointed out, she is for decriminalization because the legalization comes with a whole bunch of other laws and stuff on top. If America's your example, you have failed, but the show now has to end because it's 6:00. So I hope you call back another time because you did really, really, really bad. But if you'll do me a favor, Devin, before you go, will you just say you lost because of science and logic?
No, because that never happened, actually.
Well, say I lost. Say I lost because
I got interrupted.
Jimmy, you lost science and logic.
We can call it a draw. We can call it a draw.
Oh, no. It wasn't a draw. You were utterly defeated, and it was embarrassing. That's cute. You are laying down on the ground, passed out, practically going, this one was a draw. Thank you, Devin. Have a good day. We'll call that one a draw. We did rock, paper, scissors. I played scissors. You played paper, and you went draw.
He couldn't even name a country.
Not one. Sorry if I talked a little too much on that last call, Adalind.
Oh, I was getting real excited. I was having a great time.
I got science and logic. Do you know what I got? Smoked in that debate. Everybody, let me go ahead and set up your redirect. Y'all need to go and watch Chew Gum right now, as well as leave a comment on this after about how much you want Adalind to come back again. We love having Adalind here. She might just become an actual, like, a full-on, person. I was gonna say a full-on person here, because the only people with personhood are hosts, official hosts at the line. Everybody else, it is legal to abort. You can abort anyone who's not a host at the line. That is, that's how it goes. Is this correct? Oh, there we go. All right, that's all set up. Thank you all so much for watching. Adalind's stuff is there. She's Adalind Gray XO on Twitter. Adalind Gray _ official. What is it? On Instagram. The stuff that you're wondering where to find it.
It's around. Just Google my name.
She did.
All right, bye.
She posted revenge nudes of herself over that guy. They're on Twitter.
Revenge
That is awesome. Bye, everybody. This is the end song. Go away. Get out of here. Goodbye. That name tag's still up there, reminding me that he was bad at this.